And let's do this. Okay. Well, welcome back to another session in the for the second day of the ganjactors.com Cannabis Conference and Expo series. We are sitting here now. We're joined by Necole Hines from Canada. Where are you based?
I'm in Vancouver, BC, Canada.
Vancouver, BC, Canada, and she is a chef aficionado, and with the Caribbean bent, and she's going to do some infused cooking for us, some infused cooking demonstrations for us this morning. But why don't you first please introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about yourself?
For sure. My name is Necole Hines. I am a cannabis chef, educator, and founder of a company called Faded Living. I started this company to help normalize adult cannabis use. And basically, I'm doing that by offering a few things, one of which is cooking with cannabis workshops. Because of COVID, everything has kind of moved to online. So I do monthly virtual cooking with cannabis workshops that people can sign up through my website. I also sell merchandise. So I sell apparel, Faded Living gear to kind of help spark up the conversation when people are wearing it.
Right.
I have a podcast that comes out every Thursday. So I have a podcast called Faded Living and Friends, and I chat with cannabis entrepreneurs or enthusiasts to kind of just show how normal we are.
Right on.
The last thing that I'm hoping to bring back come summertime is my infused dining experiences. So I launched them back in 2020 before COVID. They're called Faded Feasts. And basically,
what are they called?
It's called Faded Feasts.
Faded Feast. Okay, okay, right on.
Yeah, and basically, I do Jamaican fusion, and then I infuse your dish, and I kind of talk to people about the infusion process before we sit down and break bread together. So I'm hoping to bring back that in the summer or the fall.
Summer. Okay, all right. So you're still doing the virtual shows for now. You can stick.
Yeah, pretty much right now it's the virtual. Pretty much the things that you can kind of support me on is like listening to my podcast that comes out every week, heading over to my website, signing up for a virtual workshop, or buy some Faded Living gear.
Right, and I got you. Awesome. All right, so I see you're cutting with some mangoes there and so on, and you mentioned the Jamaica. Well, tell me where's your hair? You live in Canada, but you have Jamaican roots. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Yeah.
So my parents are Jamaican. I was born and raised in Toronto, Canada. So Toronto is has a huge Jamaican population. Even when I was raised, I lived in an area that was within walking distance of a community that they now call Little Jamaica. So I was close to Keele and Eglinton Avenue West. Right. And so my upbringing was very Jamaican, even though I lived in Canada. But so basically, that's where a lot of the influence comes from. So a lot of the cuisine that I do tends to be with Jamaican flavors or Caribbean flavors.
Is there a reason for that? I mean, does cannabis infuse better with the spices, with the fruits and so on, or is it just your preference?
Yeah, so I can't really say if it infuses better.
Well, actually that's probably not the best question, because of course different things are going to affect you differently. What about the flavors? That's what I'm thinking. The flavors.
Yeah. The flavor palette is awesome. I would find that cannabis works really, really well with Caribbean flavors because of a lot of the spices that we use, and I find that they're also in a lot of the terpenes that are found in cannabis strains or cultivars, right? So for instance, like myrcene is a terpene that's found in a lot of different cannabis strains. And that is also something that I cook with a lot. It's found in a lot of Caribbean cooking. Like I make, mango chutneys and salsas and things like that. So I find that it works really well. And then some of our other spices that we use, like our allspice, nutmeg, black pepper, etc., like caryophyllene is also a terpene found in black pepper, you know what I mean? So I just feel like it works really well with the spices that we use in Jamaican or Caribbean cooking.
Oh, excellent. And well, I mean, I know that as the industry is developing, we have these beautiful devices coming out that can decarboxylate the cannabis. Well, tell us a little bit about that. Can you just take a cannabis flower and throw it into a pot and you're good to go? What's How would
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Can I take a ganja flower and throw it in a pot and cook it?
Yes.
Please tell me how does this work? What please? I'm a complete layman. Explain this whole process to
For sure. So for me, the way I like to decarb my my ganja is the old school method. And
me.
so
Okay.
I basically, I will set my oven to about 220 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't like to go past 240. So I like to stay with, some people like to do 200, some people like to do 215. It doesn't really matter to me. I like to stay with the 220 just because it feels middle of the ground, but I don't recommend going past 240. I just get like pretty much a little tray, add some parchment paper on it, and then I like to break up my ganja. Not like, I don't like to grind it too small,
Okay.
but like I like to do it more like, and I'll kind of show it in my hand. I like to do it like to that
Little
kind of,
chunks, type a little. Okay.
yeah, kind of like chunks. You put it on top of your parchment paper, you know what I mean? Like, depending on how much you're using. In Canada, our because it's a legalized country, anything that is edible is really like the maximum THC level is really low. It's only 10 milligrams, right? So I usually teach people just how to work with 3.5 grams or an eighth, whatever you like to call it, kind of thing. Work with that. So you put that on your tray, on the parchment paper on your tray, and then you put it in your oven for about 40 minutes. And that is essentially the decarboxylation process.
And
The
decarboxylation is what is
activation.
decarboxylation? Right, the activation.
Yeah, it's pretty much activating your cannabis, because like in the very, state that it is in right now, it has THCA. There's that's what it is, right? And it's ready state. So when you put it in the oven, you're kind of activating it, getting rid of the A so that it's only THC, which is what gives you the effect.
The effects that you want.
Right. So, and that's kind of like when you think about it, when you smoke a joint, for instance, it's the heat.
Right.
You light it up. It's the heat that is essentially like a little quick.
That's why you burn it. And can you do this with? Do you recommend dry herbs? Can you do this with fresh herbs as well, or you just recommend dry herbs? What do you recommend?
Okay, so it would be with dry herbs is what I would recommend you do the decarb process. With fresh herbs, like I haven't actually worked with actual like fresh herbs, but I have worked with the leaves. And so what I find is like with leaves, you can still add it to a smoothie, because that's what I'll be doing today. I've done it before a few times. Like I've grown before and just froze the fan leaves and used it at a later date. And with the leaves, like you're not going to get high off of it or anything like that, but the leaves itself has vitamins, minerals. Exactly. So
I mean,
it's still
ganja tea. We don't really use the leaves. It's not necessary. It's not the buds. No, they're going to market. Those are going to market. So you can take that. That's fine. Right. Well, let's see. So what do you have for us today? What do you?
Yeah. So what I'm going to do today is something really quick and easy. I like to start my day with a smoothie, and the way that I work with recipes and all of those things, and I think it's because I come from, a Caribbean home, is like, I don't really stick too tough with the recipe per se. I call it as it's a guideline. It's, a lot of people need structure in their life. I get it. You know what I mean? But for me, it's more like, go with what you like. So today I'm going to do a fruit smoothie, but I'm going to use a lot of the fruits that I love. So I'm using mango, and I'm using strawberries. I'm using some frozen peaches as well. And then I'm adding some juices to it. So I'm adding like pineapple juice, and then I'm also adding coconut water to it as well. Right. And so that's going to be kind of like the base of it. Oh, and I'm adding bananas too today. I was going to add pineapple, but the pineapple that I got wasn't ripe enough. So that's why I'm adding the juice.
All right. I get okay. Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's just your base. So like it's a smoothie like you would anything. But when it comes to the infusion process, I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to have some options. So first I'm going to just build your base kind of thing.
Build out your base.
And like I said, it's whatever you like, because like, I mean, there's a lot of people who are allergic to certain things that are in a recipe that you would never know about. People are allergic to strawberry, etc. Right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I'm always about like, it's usually a guide. For me, I like to use frozen fruit as well sometimes.
I was going to ask about that. Yeah. Why is that?
Yeah, it's like then you don't have to add ice. It's like you have a
Oh,
really
okay.
cold beverage. Yeah.
Okay.
And then on top of that too, it's you always have access to the fruit that you want if you use frozen kind of thing, right? Because for us out here in Canada, like, yeah, we get mangoes, but I mean, I'm not really buying mangoes in December out here.
I was gonna ask, where do you get the mangoes from? I'm now even looking at that banana. I'm like, we don't even have bananas like that in Jamaica. What is up with that?
Yeah, so these are the North American ones, the ones that you eat, like you know what I mean? The sweet banana, I guess.
Modified, buffed up with, I don't know, all kinds of this, and that, and the other. I got you right on. Yep,
that's what happens, unfortunately. And
very
in terms of our
pretty,
mangoes,
though. Very pretty, very pretty.
True.
Yeah, and the mangoes. Where the mangoes come from?
Sometimes a lot of times they come from Mexico.
Okay, right. That makes sense.
Where I am, but if I was like in Toronto, they get a lot from the Caribbean.
Really? Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Toronto is very, very different, and I think one of the reasons is, well, number one, the population in the Toronto area is so huge, so the connection to Jamaica is much stronger. Right. But I think also in proximity, like you're even in the same time zone, right? Because like it's Eastern, I think Standard Time is what
we don't change. You guys change. We don't change. So
we change.
We're our time, and you guys hover around us. But yeah, it messes everything up.
Yeah, basically. But I do know that when I used to live in Toronto, like a flight to Jamaica is way cheaper than it is from where I live now because I'm on the West Coast.
Right. Okay.
Right? And so I think
you have to make a connecting flight and then fly down type of thing. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I got you.
Yeah.
So that connection, even the level of the connectivity to the Caribbean, the people themselves, they'll be like, well, like I got my business, I got my farm, and you know. Yeah. I know. Sure.
Yeah.
All right. I got you.
For sure.
Yeah, that's a big bloody banana. That's all I'm saying. That's cool. I was like, is that a plantain? It's like you got to cook plantain. No, anyways, all right.
Oh, and I get plantain here too. I get plantain. Yeah. The only thing that I find in the West Coast of the country is I've been having trouble finding Scotch bonnet peppers out here. Okay. So in Toronto, you can get it no problem. Right. Even in Alberta, which is still west, but it's just not as west as I am. Because I used to have a business called Wings and Tings back in the day, and I used to do Jamaican jerk chicken wings and rice and peas and salad.
I think I've heard of it. Okay, right.
That was me. That used to be
nice. Ooh, yeah.
Yes, that was me. So, but I will find that Vancouver, it's harder to get the Scotch bonnet. So I'm going to try to get some seeds and see if I can grow myself.
Okay, interesting.
Is what I'm trying to do. But if I was in Toronto, no problem.
They do grow pretty well, actually. They're pretty easy pepper to grow, actually. I've seen.
Yeah, that's what people said. Said that it's quite easy. So I'm ready for it. I'm like,
I've never tried, but my neighbor threw a couple in seeds and they're sprout. I'm like, okay, yeah, all right. Yeah. I guess he doesn't need to do much to it, like, all right, cool.
I love it. So the only thing I added so far was I added a little bit of allspice just for some flavor. That's all. Okay, so like I said, I only had strawberries, bananas, mango. I had some frozen peach, frozen strawberries in there as well. And now it comes to like, what am I going to do for the infusion? There's so many different things that you can add for infusion. I have infused honey that I've done before. Which is really, really nice to add to it.
Because how do you infuse the honey?
Okay, so we'll talk to you about this. So when it comes to infusing the honey, it's a little bit of a different process than when you're infusing oil. So I'll talk about all of them because sometimes I put coconut oil in my smoothie. Right? So when you're infusing, I use the old school method as well. I do have oil infusion machines. I have like the Levo oil machine, the 1 and 2 and stuff like that. The Ardent is out there as well. That does that.
We're going to bring that in very, very shortly. I would love you to work with us and we can do something.
I would love that. I would absolutely love that. So, but I still do the old school method because I think, because I'm trying to normalize adult cannabis use. I want to just
Of
teach
course.
people
Right.
how to use it.
Well, you
And
can
a
do
lot
at
of
home,
times,
and not, it doesn't
exactly,
get too elaborate, and you don't have to be a big
ex-
professional and be like, okay, I'm under the sink cooking something, you know. You gotta, right,
exactly.
yeah.
So I basically
It's not gonna
use
blow up.
a slow cooker, rice cooker,
Okay.
anything that has a low, it has to have a low setting on it.
Right.
That's the
Okay.
major thing. So
Right.
whatever you have, crock pot, any of those things will work, but it just needs to have a low
Very,
setting.
very low
And
setting.
then basically, when you're doing the oil, all you're doing is you're putting your decarb flour into your slow cooker, and then you're adding your oil. You basically set the temperature to the lowest temperature. Sometimes the temperature's warm. That's what you're going to set it
Right, right,
to.
right, right.
And
Okay.
then you leave it for 3 hours, stirring occasionally. And
Just
then
kind of
when
let it
you're
absorb
done,
into it, right?
let it absorb.
Right.
And then when you're done, you basically just strain out your oil into another container.
And why would you keep it low? 'Cause if you went too high, would you over burn the cannabis? I mean, over the THC? Why would you keep it at that
Yeah,
temperature?
so it's like you're burning off the THC. You're not. In order to get the best effects of your cannabis, you're actually not supposed to cook it at the high
Okay.
cooking point. So a lot of the recipes that I come up with and a lot of the dishes that I do, I actually do the infusion part on things that are not the high heat part of the menu, right? So things like that are like chutneys and sauces and dressings
Okay.
and juices and beverages and things like that, because that's when you're going to maximize the effect.
So I mean, because I mean everyone, well, I mean, it's well known that cannabis infuses very well with oils and so on. So if I'm thinking a saute, sauteing chicken or whatever, that would not be very, very effective then, because that was too much.
No, it wouldn't. It
Wow,
wouldn't. So
okay.
what I recommend people do is like either if you're going to saute, you can saute for the most part with regular oil, and then you can finish with an
Okay,
infused
like towards
oil
the
so
end
that
type of thing. Okay.
yeah, so that
Interesting.
you're not burning off. Now, some people don't have a problem with doing that because they have an abundance of access to ganja, right? But
Right, right.
like most people don't have an abundance of access to ganja, and it's also expensive
Right.
depending on where you live, right? So
Absolutely.
that's why you want to maximize the
Right.
benefit and get all the benefits of it.
As
Yeah, yeah,
possible. Right. Okay.
yeah. So it's not like you can't do it. It's
Right.
just if you're limited on your cannabis, then you should probably do things at a low heat so you can make sure you get all the benefits
All
of
right.
the
Right.
cannabis, right? So that is the level for the slow cooker. There are so many other ways that you can infuse though. I just like to teach this way as the first entry way in because I find it's the easiest way. And the reason why it's easy is because you can walk away from your slow cooker
Right.
and come back to it and walk away and come back to it. Where some of the other processes, you have to stand by the stove.
Right.
And
Right.
you've got to
Okay. And watch
yeah,
it and be on top of it. Right. I got you. Okay.
make
All
sure that the temperature doesn't go too high, etc.
right. Yeah. Okay. All right.
So that's basically like the process that you would use if you're using coconut oil, olive oil, canola oil, you know what I mean, avocado oil, all those oils type of thing,
Right.
right?
Okay. All right. Cool.
When it comes to honey, though,
Right. That's a
the,
little
the
bit more complicated.
only not that complicated. The only difference is instead of putting your cannabis directly in here, I would fill this with water and I would get a jar and I would put the honey in your jar.
Right.
And then you get some what is that? You're going to get what is it? I just smoked a joint. That's why I'm trying to it is it's like you're gonna make a little satchel of
with like cheesecloth.
With a cheesecloth. That's
Right,
the
right.
one.
Okay.
I
I was thinking about that before, so I'm gonna give you some time. Let's see. All right.
Yeah, no, you got it. Thank you so much. It's you make it because I said it's like clues satchel.
Right.
And you got it for me. Thank you. So you get some cheesecloth, put the decarbed cannabis in there,
Right.
tie it up, and then you drop that little satchel in the jar, and then you put
that in the water.
Yeah.
Into the water. All right. So it's kind of easy. And then the same, I guess, the same 3 hours or the longer because of the bottle. All right. Okay.
Same sort of 3 hours for that. And again, that's just one method. There's other ways, but I just find I like to, keep it simple, at least to start you know what I mean, and get yourself accustomed with it. So there's that. And then the third thing that I could also infuse this with is with sometimes I like to add some liquor to it.
Okay.
So I infused some rum.
Right on. Yes, please.
Okay. And so in order to infuse rum, what I did was, this is some decarbed cannabis.
Right.
All you have to do is you pour your rum into your jar and you shake it.
Yeah.
And then you pop it in your cupboard and you leave it there and you use it whenever you want to use it. It's that simple. It's nothing crazy.
And this is the decarved weed as well. Because I know a lot of Jamaicans will put like a nice branch of bud in their rum and leave it there for a little while, and then every now and then they'll come and take a sip.
Yes.
But I've always thought, but the bud's not decarb, so is it really effective? I don't know.
Yeah, it's even more effective if the bud is decarbed.
All right, but it is still effective though. It will still.
I would think it will still do something, you know what I mean, because of the alcohol, but I would say that it's just way more effective if you just add some heat. Yeah, if you decarb it, kind of thing. But the process is so simple. Like, it's not that difficult to do a tincture either. The only thing about like infusing your liquor and things like that is, like, I do recommend using alcohol that is like a high alcohol, that has a high alcohol content. So for instance, like this rum I'm using was like 40% proof alcohol. If a lot of people would use things like Everclear to do things, but like Everclear, that alcohol doesn't taste good. Like, it's not a tasty.
Right. Okay. I don't even know. Yeah, Everclear. I'm like, that sounds like a water to me. But anyway, sorry. Okay.
No, it does sound like a water. It's almost like really chemically tasting, in my personal opinion. And then
I wouldn't even go close to that. So yeah. Okay.
No. And I was chatting with some other cannabis chefs, and they were recommending using like cane sugar alcohol.
Right.
Yeah. So that's where it got me thinking, oh, well, if I can just get other alcohol that's high proof alcohol, I'm gonna be fine.
So not like wine or something. You wouldn't recommend it with the wine or something, right? Okay.
No, but I've heard people like, let me rephrase that. I've heard of cannabis wine. I just have never done it. So I can't really speak to it. And I recommend it as well. I just haven't done the process, so I can't really say what the effects is on that. Yeah, but they're out there. They're definitely.
I've heard of it. I've definitely heard. Yeah, I mean, there is a ganja wine that you find selling out here in Jamaica. So
yes, I'm down for it. I mean, I do like my wine, so I'm down.
I like my rum, so that's cool. I'm down. Right.
You know what? Let me tell you something. I like to add this really to my smoothie, and I call it a boozy smoothie. But like that's what I like to. It's almost like, think of a daiquiri, so to speak, especially when
I can see that. But like with like fruit, it's kind of healthy as well. So I'm with you.
You see what I'm saying? So I mean, it's hot today up in these Canadian streets, so I am actually going to do that. Now I eyeball, because now, friends, this is not for everybody to eyeball, but it's part of my culture.
It's your granny's instincts.
It is part of the culture. So, and then that's pretty much it. And if I wanted to, I may just add some of the honey as well.
Right.
As well. And then that's it. That's simple. You've already added cannabis to your day.
Right.
In the quickness way, right? Like, I mean, that's kind of what I'm all about, is like being able to show people that you can add cannabis easily, quickly to your day,
routine, and go by, do it, and probably feel a little bit less stressed, throughout the day.
Oh, absolutely. So look, I'm just drizzling a little bit, and that's it.
Right on. Looks.
And that's it. And the reason why, for me, the reason why, like, I feel confident that I can layer these two different types of infusions is because, like I'd mentioned earlier, I'm in Canada, so our THC limit for edible is very low.
Right. Yes.
So these like my infused liquor, like, yeah, it's more like the liquor has more.
Right. Well,
You know
look,
what I
I
mean?
mean, it's in no, this is I want people to see this kind of stuff, and I don't mind
Yeah.
even talking about these machines because edibles are illegal in Jamaica. They
Okay.
are illegal in Jamaica. There was an incident, I won't get into it, but yeah, they are
Yeah.
illegal. So
Yeah.
people do it themselves, So I would
Yeah.
like to show people how to do it, basically. Yeah.
Okay, so then that's good to so that helps me to like segue a little bit as to why I teach using just an eighth, 3.5 grams, because it's a great way to just learn how to introduce edibles into your body kind
Right.
of thing.
Right.
Because even if you've been smoking from time, because when you eat it, it
It's a
gets
different
processed
effect.
in
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
body
Yeah.
differently, right? Like
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like somebody who's been like smoking ganja for like decades could literally be like,
Yeah, they
high
feel
for
almost like,
days.
feel
You know
very
what I mean?
bizarre. Yeah, 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 definitely,
Exactly.
definitely. I mean, I've had friends who
Exactly.
are like, the 10, 12 hours later, like, oh my goodness, what is going on? I'm like, well, yeah, it's
Yes.
different. This, it'll pass. Don't worry. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's why I just kind of am like, okay, well, let me teach people number one, how to use
And do it.
little
Yeah, yeah,
little
exactly. Right on.
cannabis.
Yeah,
It's cheaper first, you know what I
yeah.
mean?
Right,
Give
for
people some
sure.
whatever. And then because it's legal because cannabis is legal in Canada, we can also go out and buy high CBD cultivars. We can
Right,
buy
right, right.
low THC cultivars, right? So I recommend
Right on.
different
Sampling and so on and
cultivar,
so forth.
yeah,
Yeah,
like your canatonic and you know what I mean? Like there are your mango haze in many cases, like depending on who's growing it, mango haze sometimes will have low THC in it. So I
right.
recommend using like some of those
To
cultivars
start
to
with, yeah,
start
to
with.
start with. Right on. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
And then over time, as you understand how it works
Obviously,
with
affects
you.
you, but right. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
tell me, different strains will affect different people differently when you smoke. What about when you ingest it? Do different strains affect you differently, or is it kind of just the same cannabis effect just
So
depending on
so I'm still working on figuring out if there's a difference, right? What for me right now, I've been really focused on um, working with the terpenes that's in a strain
Right? Okay,
and
right, right,
creating a recipe around it, right? So
right,
that I get to kind of taste that
right, right.
strain a little
Straight
bit better.
in the right, right on. Okay,
Exactly. Exactly. So for instance, like I'd mentioned earlier, like if I'm doing a mango chutney, then I'll go out and try to get a mango haze strain
okay,
to work
right.
with that strain. Like that's where my focus has been as of lately, rather than because it's hard for me to say to give that answer when we all have our own endocannabinoid
Right.
system, which means that everything just affects everybody so differently. So I'm just trying to get the flavor palette
Right. Well,
going.
and people are now starting. The research is showing that the terpenes actually may have more effect on people than the actual THC and CBD.
Exactly, because the
Yeah, this is
terpenes have their own effects,
right.
right?
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
terpenes do their, like even when people are feeling uncomfortable, let's say, because they've eaten cannabis and they're starting to feel too high or whatever the case may
Right.
be,
Yeah.
like there are like things like black pepper,
Yes. I've heard. Yeah.
which that can, if you chew on a black peppercorn or you sniff it, for a lot of people, it helps them to feel better.
Really.
And it's because caryophyllene is
Okay.
also,
Counters. Right. Okay. Okay.
and that terpene specifically also helps people to just relax. So it's like the caryophyllene
Mm.
also has its own like effects,
Right. Right.
right? And that's kind of why it helps. So I'm more on like finding out about the terpenes, trying to create dishes where your cannabis is actually really complementing your dish,
Right.
as opposed to like, some people's
It's a part of your
concept of,
dish type of thing.
yeah. And some people just want to like, I mean, because there's a difference between edibles and then there's a difference between infused cooking, right?
Right. Agreed. Agreed.
Right? Like infused cooking, at least my approach is more like I approach it as like a microdose kind of approach, right? Because I use really low dose oils, that type of thing, because I'm a smoker. I love to smoke a joint. That
Right,
is
right.
That's my favorite way to
To
consume,
consume.
right? So, and I still run a business. I still need to function. I still need to,
Absolutely,
you know what I
absolutely. I hear
mean?
you. I hear you.
So my eating is more done on a low dose level, and that way I'm allowed to eat throughout the day, right? I'm allowed to have a smoothie like this now. Like, later in the day, I can have I can add it to like my ice cream. You know what I mean? I can just do
Right,
so
right on.
many different
And
things with
still be
it
fully functional and
and still be fully
yeah.
functional, right? Whereas I find with edibles, a lot of times the function is to get you to a level,
Right.
right?
This
So,
is true. This is very, very true. This is very, very
right,
true. Right on.
right. When somebody gives you a square of a brownie, it a lot of times is high in THC, and it's
Right.
meant
To give you that high effect
to
and
get
yeah,
you that high.
right,
Yeah,
exactly. Right,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
And that's what
So
if they tell you to take one, take one. Don't take two because then you're gonna be like, ah, because they told you to take
you
one.
stop,
Because they told you
and
to take one. You know?
also too, because with eating, it takes a while to pass through your
That's right.
liver.
That's right. That's
Right.
right.
So it's not like you're smoking where you get to feel the effects right away.
Right.
Like for some people, it could take up to 2 hours, even
That's right.
sometimes
It depends on what
longer.
you ate before. It depends on what I'm sure. It's gotta have a
Right?
absolutely. It's
Your
in your body. Yeah.
metabolism, your
Exactly.
so many
Exactly.
different things, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So yeah, my approach has always been low dose because I think that, adding a little infused coconut oil to your tea in the morning is delightful. It's a great way to like start your day. It's not too
Yeah.
much. It's very, very little. It's really great adding
But
it
it's
to your
still there,
coffee.
right? I'm
Yeah.
a coffee drinker, so I'm thinking, yeah, that's my thing. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, add it to your coffee. It's delicious. Like I love adding infused coconut oil to my coffee.
Yeah.
Like it is perfect, and you're still able to function. You're
Right,
not
right.
feeling like
Which
you
is the
want to get
most
out of bed.
important thing. That is the most
Yes,
important thing. You know what I mean? This the
absolutely.
stoner kind of dreary, whatever, kind of just bumming around. That's not really what
Yeah,
cannabis is really about. Quite frankly, it never really has been. I think that was just a cultural thing that people caught on to because it was fun, it was cool, and whatever. But it's not the mainstay, to be completely honest.
agreed.
So are you gonna make the smoothie or
I
are you
am
just
going
gonna
to
show us
make this.
how
So I'm
to
going
make
to
it?
turn this. I'm going to turn this on.
All right.
Give me 1 second here. Okay, so that was that. Super, super easy and
That's pretty
easy.
quick.
That's
That's
what
a
I'm
nice
saying.
blender. That's a nice
Okay, so
blender.
this is a Vitamix.
Okay, right
They're
on.
great. They're great because they're fast, quick. It took
Wow, look at
like
that. Okay, excellent. Ooh,
done.
look at that consistency. Beautiful.
Look at this, and that's it.
Wow,
And like,
that's a smoothie. You got your infused smoothie.
mm. Oh, and it's so good.
And
And like I
how
mentioned,
much of the cannabis did I mean, how much would you say would be in a cup? What kind of dosage
I would
would you say?
say that in a cup because I did it really low, probably about 5 milligrams in a
Okay.
cup, kind of thing. But there is alcohol in it too.
Right, right.
So
Okay, okay.
always be aware that if you're using an alcohol-based infusion, that's going to have a
Okay,
little
effect.
bit of a
Absolutely.
different
Right.
effect
Absolutely.
to
Absolutely.
it. But yeah, that's simple. This is it. And then once you've had what you've wanted to have, you can just pop it in your fridge.
Right. Right. Right.
And then just, continue to enjoy as you wish. I do always recommend like for people to have like stickers or something like that. Like if you
Right.
live with
To
other
differentiate,
people.
yeah, for sure. Right. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
You
Just
see
kind
your
of,
friends start to slow down in your room. It's like, why are you looking a bit? What's wrong
yeah,
with?
yeah,
Oh my
it's
goodness, is that what
important.
you? I thought you said you were going to the gym, and now you're just like, I don't know. It's like, what? Yeah, okay, wrong smoothie. I know what's up, right? I
Right.
got you. Right.
And,
Okay.
and as I mentioned earlier, if you have fresh leaves,
Right.
you can add the leaves in, and it's really, I've done it. It's great. Like it's a very hearty
Right. Okay.
beverage kind of thing, and it's the leaves don't add to getting you high or anything because they're not psychoactive or anything, but you're going to get more vitamins and nutrients.
Right. Right. And all right. Well, let's. I have heard that a lot of people say that not to throw away your trim because that
Mm,
is good for edibles and so on and so forth. What's your take
yeah.
on that?
Yes, I totally agree with that. I think that you should use all of the plant
Oh, okay.
to your best desire type of thing. So I use everything. Like I even use I also have like a vaporizer, like one of those dry herb vaporizers.
Yeah,
I also collect the what they call already vaped bud, AVB.
Right. Yeah. Right on. Yeah. Yes. I've heard of this. Yes.
So you can use this for like if you're baking or something like that.
And
I
there will
recommend
still
it.
be some levels of THC in it or TBD or whatever. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you can use everything. Like I don't get rid of anything. Another thing that I use, and I'm shocked that I don't have it right in front of me, but I use just give me 1 second because I have it here and I'm going to make sure that you guys see it.
That's fine.
Yeah, because this is also something that I use. So for people who smoke concentrates. So I have friends out here who make their own rosin. And to make your own rosin, you put your dried flower in a little bag like this, about 10 grams, and then you put it in a machine and it gets pressed and it gets flattened. So I have friends that give me this.
Oh, right, because they've got the rosin. That's what they want. You like the okay.
And then I take off the casing.
Right.
And then this is the dried flower, right? And so I still decarb this. So this is basically 10 grams of dried flower. Right. And I will decarb this even though it's been heated. And the only reason why I decarb it still is because even though it was heated, it's only heated for like about a few seconds. Like it's not really.
I've seen the process, right? Yeah, okay.
So I will do the same process, put it on parchment paper, put it in the oven at 220, but rather than do it for 40 minutes, I do it for 20. I just do it for half the time.
Cut down the time. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's still, once again, and it's still effective.
Oh yeah, this is actually rosin.
Oh, okay.
Is what's in here. Yeah. So basically I make oils out of this as well. It is really, really effective. And then because it's 10 grams in this, and in our country 10 milligrams of THC is the max, I tend to only have to use like one of these to make a cup of oil.
Right. Okay. Right.
Or one of these to make a cup of honey or something like that. So it's really cost effective. It's very, very effective.
And convenient.
Yeah, very convenient. So if people have friends that press their own rosin, ask for the chips because you can actually use them to infuse.
I will. Well, I was gonna say I'll pass on the message, but you've already given it, so thank you very much.
Yeah, no worries.
All right. I think that's it. I know that you have to run to your exam, your culinary exam.
Yes, I do.
Take things to the next. To bring your work back to the public, effectively.
Yes.
Which of course we're hoping that you will be doing very, very soon.
Yeah, Necole, I'm hoping to travel too. That is really the kicker. I'm hoping to travel.
I think everybody's itching to travel. I think, yeah, myself included. I assure you. People want to come to Jamaica. I'm like, no, I want to go somewhere.
Yeah. I can imagine. You're like ready to bounce. I'm like, I want to go.
Most definitely. Well, we'll coordinate appropriately. Yes. We will just definitely coordinate appropriately. But again, thank you very much, Necole, for your time. Once again, thank you for joining for the GanjaActive.com Cannabis Conference and Expo series. We will speak with you again. We will on to the Ganja Project series very, very soon. I would love to see you as a regular guest. We can come in and do some jerk sauce.
Yes, I would love to do jerk chicken. I make my own jerk sauce, so and I infuse that too a lot of the times.
So how would that work? Because I mean, would you put that? I guess you'd put that. That would be like the last layer of sauce that you would put on.
That would be the last layer. Right. I find that with the jerk sauce, it's the other things that I make with it as well that really give you the effects. I still add it to it because it adds to the flavor, but because of the way I'm cooking the jerk, I'm really kind of burning a lot of the stuff off, but it's because I have access to the product. So it's more like I'm using it as a herb per se, rather than your effect when it comes to the jerk chicken. But
again, you got the whole terpene thing going on, so like the flavor.
I'm trying to do it,
That's very, very cool. Well, I wish you all the best. I wish you good luck this afternoon. And thank you ever so much for joining us. And we will speak again.
Oh, thank you for having me. And I would love to come back again.
All right, thank you. Sounds great.
All right.
Sure it happens. All right. One love. Thank you. Bless it.
One love as well. Bye now.